All right, and that is actually the perfect segue into the last subject, which we'll broach tonight. First of all, everybody hit the thumbs up thingy, the like, so we can get to like, I don't know, 8,000. Doesn't matter though. Okay, that bar complaint in Arizona. Okay, a lot of people are asking, and I sort of made it as a joke. There's not a snowball's chance in summer that the Bar Association would reprimand or sanction the lawyers who drafted that bar letter.
Oh, sanction the lawyers who drafted the letter?
Am I biased? Am I wrong? Or is that bar letter to the bar, that bar complaint about the 21 Trump lawyers in Arizona, not the biggest load of hogwash I've ever?
I mean, no doubt. But the risk is that the bar associations are becoming sometimes they're run by the bar, sometimes they're run by the Supreme Court of the state. Sometimes the Supreme Court delegates it to the bar, so it all varies by state. But they've been politically wet. It's overwhelmingly professional class people who hate anybody associated and affiliated with Trump or Trump world. And that's the risk that you face. So that because they're so politicized, the question has been an open question: when will they start to weaponize their control over your licensure as a means of punishing political dissidents or those who advocate for them? There's a history of it. I mean, in the tax protester world, a lawyer I knew, Jeffrey Dickstein, he was sent to prison and disbarred, frankly, for conduct that was entirely ethical and professional, in my view. So it was because he was a dissident lawyer. He was targeted. And that's been true going way back. Clarence Darrow, I think, faced 2 or 3 criminal trials on contempt and other charges based on trumped up cases and claims. So I hope that there's definitely nothing unethical any of those lawyers have done that warrants any form of sanction or discipline.
It's not even that, but I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, because I would imagine by virtue of the fact that the judge didn't reprimand them. I mean, I know the threshold is different, and it's not because a judge didn't sanction behavior that it's not potentially unethical.
Mm-hmm.
They made it through the courts. The courts rendered their decisions. How does an observer, an uninterested lawyer, now say that the courts effectively say that they lied to the courts when the courts are not even sanctioning that type of conduct on their own? And do they even know what happened in the trials?
It's always, I would say this part. It's mostly on the left today. It's always been part of the establishment's toolbox to try to use every tool they have, whether it's control over your employment, control over your education, control over your income, control over your personal freedom, control over your occupation, to use every tool they have to weaponize it against you if they don't like you or like what you do. But the left has made it an art form. They just do it across the board. Oh, you said something we don't like, you have to be fired. It's part of cancel culture. And the new extension and expansion of cancel culture was going to be going after your license. And that can be a barber's license. That can be a plumber's license. It won't stop at lawyers. It won't stop at accountants. It won't stop at doctors. They will go after everybody who politically disagrees. You're going to have to agree with the political narrative, or you won't be able to even be able to practice your chosen profession. That's where they want the world to go to. Because most of you notice that letter failed to document clear evidence of anything unethical. It was a lot of rhetoric and hot air.
You can't summarize 10 cases in a few pages, and it was just such 50,000 foot overview of what happened. And I mean, the part that really got me was when they said the judge in one of the cases,
the judge did some illegal stuff too. You should go after him. He even allowed them to have a hearing. This is outrageous.
It is. I just don't understand how anyone gets that letter and doesn't say, you guys are idiots and you guys might be the ones. Like, can the lawyer?
Should be the case, but most of the state bars all will be in agreement with these people. They're all Trump haters. They're lefty types. They jump to it. The state bars are the ones that cover up for corrupt prosecutors, cover up for corrupt government lawyers, and cover up for corrupt corporate lawyers. While they target, I mean, as Jerry Spence famously said, the gentlemen of the bar only defend the gentlemen of the bar. And he meant that in the old top hat way. He has some righteous criticisms. I'll include that someday. Some show in the background is one of the key books, is one of his great books, one of his older books about how the legal system really operates. And it was hold no bars attack. But that's the nature of this. I mean, but yes, it shouldn't go anywhere because it's insane and it's so overtly politicized. They should have. Now, I think Wood and Powell face higher risk because they got ensnared into submitting some problematic affidavits. But like Nate thought that because the Delaware state law allows if you're admitted in Delaware, they can punish you for anything you do anywhere. But that's not how pro hoc rules work. The way pro hoc rules work is that you're subject to Delaware rules in that court proceeding, because there are major due process problems and jurisdictional problems with one state trying to regulate other conduct from other states by lawyers licensed in other states for those cases. So as you pointed out, the proper forum to adjudicate any supposed ethical breach in front of a court is that court, not anyone else. And if it's outside of the court proceedings, then it can be, and then it should be a client or actual injured party bringing the claim, not adversarial counsel, not people who dislike your advocacy. I mean, I've been targeted on this nonsense for decades. So it just goes with the territory. They're just escalating it to a whole new level where they look at every single tiny thing you've ever done and they kind of try to come after you for it.
And I say in the limited, I never dealt with ethical complaints, even when people approach me, because it's
you're too nice.
No, if someone says, come represent me in an ethical complaint, you know damn well you're going to be the object of an ethical complaint. And it's not a question of how much the file's worth. It's just a question of how much the headache is worth. Because when you deal with people who file ethical complaints, they do it against everybody. Now, and so when I'm saying, like, you know, I would never file an ethical complaint in the first place, because you know darn well all that's going to happen is the lawyer you filed one against is going to file one against you. So, you know, my two questions. Are the lawyers going to file their rebuttal ethical complaints or just not waste their time? And I thought these complaints remain confidential. So how did this one get public? Unless it's a different law there.
So the internal process of the complaint is confidential in terms of the state body. But if you file a complaint, you can publish that fact. And anything you receive from them, you as an individual can publish. Only the state is supposed to keep things confidential. So I'm assuming this didn't come from the state. I'm assuming it came from the lawyers who filed the complaint. They can they can distribute it and publish anything they want. Now, their risk is that if they say something defamatory, it may not be considered part of a proceeding, judicial proceeding, if you publish something that has to be confidential by the state. Other lawyers have made this mistake in the past, where they're going after somebody and they lie about them. But they're like, "Oh, I sent that to the state bar. That's immune. That's part of that's privileged." And it's like, yeah, if the state bar had leaked it rather than you, but it's confidential, so you're out of luck. So now the courts go back and forth on how they interpret those rules. That's part of the potential Wood and Powell defenses, is that these were things done in anticipation of or as part of litigation. Kind of ironic, because Wood is suing his former partners for defamation on grounds of what they said in court. He's going to lose that case. He's going to owe their legal fees, but as part of the anti-SLAPP action that they brought. But that in general is part of the protection, but it's limited if in fact you disclose something that's otherwise confidential.
All right. And with that said, everybody, this was a good one. I mean, at the very least, now we've had more than half of this stream not election related, even though I know people are dying to, continue to hear about it. We're going to enter, hopefully, a new world in a couple of weeks where we can go to some juicy, meaty lawsuits, like lawyers complaining about lawyers, Twitter defamation.
This week will be a very eventful week. Next week we'll have and we'll start doing we'll let people on Locals Board decide, some midweek streams where we only take questions, like a 1 hour kind of Wednesday live stream where we only take questions and chat questions, no set topic list, to expand it as we expand what we're doing here and elsewhere, since I won't be too busy with Twitter much anymore.
I'm going to go back and remind Jack and everybody that, you still have a problem that needs to be addressed because it's kind of serious. But if everybody, by the way, who's on Twitter, go retweet to Jack, because, it's a very shocking thing to see someone have a voice silenced. And it's not everybody who has a reach to actually make that silence louder. So let's do that. Week from Tuesday, Dershowitz Barnes debate. I'm going to get that out this week. And we'll do a live stream next week regardless, and we'll have news. And if there's massive news this week, we'll see if we do a midweek stream. Everybody, thank you very much. Robert, actually, you know what? We need one final word of optimism from you, and then I'll sign off.
So we'll find out this week. We're going to see something that's historically unprecedented in the scope and the scale of the objections made to a presidential election. It's all going to be on C-SPAN. I'll be there in D.C., and so we'll see. And I think at a minimum, we'll document the record. I think it will be the highest number of objections made by senators and House members to any presidential election in American history. open question whether it gets over the top. It's a long shot, may not get there, but even if it doesn't, we establish an important record and precedent that builds to what reforms need to happen going forward. And there's a lot of ways that's going to be happening in the new year, building opposition to the lockdowns, building a new political movement, building the means and tools and supporting those means and tools of a new movement, whether it's locals or elsewhere. And for anybody who wants to comment or have questions about this, other than commenting below, I will be I'll put up a post to the link to this at the top of the locals board, and we'll be responding on and off over the next 2 hours at vivabarneslaw.locals.com, where I'll be for the near short term, given Jack has locked me out of the house.
All right. And I don't know if anybody can hear the kid screaming upstairs, but there is a kid screaming upstairs. Everybody have a good rest of the weekend. We will be in touch on social media next week, and enjoy, rest up. We'll talk soon. Robert, thank you very much as always.